Hello, my Bill 1000 Nation. How's everyone doing today? Hopefully, everyone's having a great day. If not, I hope it gets better from here. We are back with another Watcher. This one is titled The Serial Killer Family That Terrorized the Old West. Hells yeah. Man, I like Westerns. 310 to Yuma. Oh, I'm excited for today's story. If you guys are excited as I am, go ahead, turn them lights down low, put on something comfy, cuddle with someone special. Let's get Western. New York City. We all know. We all know. And I'm snacking on Red Hots. They are so good. Sugar-free Red Hots.
You ever smell a dead body? No, me neither. You asked me as if you had, though.
FYI, I am a murderer.
Welcome to Mystery Files, where we take a deep dive into cases that span from the creepy to the truly bizarre, and everything in between. I'm Shane, and today I'm subjecting my colleague Ryan to the grisly tale of the Bloody Benders. What? In the end, you'll have to decide if the mystery is solved or if it's simply a mystery.
What if it's solved because it's a mystery? Like it was meant to be a mystery, and solving it is only confirming that it is a mystery. I'm just saying, it could happen. Don't judge me. I have candy. You can't judge, man. I have candy.
What in the Hardy Boys is this?
Look, you know, when we started this series, it was a marked departure from our previous content where we didn't want to do anything too creepy, too ghoulish, too grisly.
Yeah.
But you can have a little true crime as a treat.
All right. I mean,
we're gonna have a little creepy creeps up in this episode. These
it's
are creepy
time
eyes.
to wake us up. We haven't seen the sun in 8 weeks.
That's right.
It smells.
Well, let's get into it. But first, one last time, let's watch one of my little videotapes.
Once again, praying that it's not what I think it is.
Greetings! It's me, Professor Morris Ashley, and tonight is date night. Have you ever found yourself questioning everything about yourself before your date arrives for dinner?
Yeah.
Which brown blazer should I wear? Do I have money? And most importantly, how do I smell? Did that spaghetti aglio olio I had for lunch leave me with intolerable garlic breath? Sure, that wasn't an issue when I was courting my wonderful estranged Italian wife, the enchanting Bianca Sofia, but I'm in LA now, baby. And thanks to today's sponsor, Scentbird, I'm finally ready to check out Hollywood's dating scene. This place is pretty swanky, and I want to smell just as nice. Scentbird is reimagining everything about how people discover, shop for, and express oneself through fragrances. They let you choose a new designer fragrance every month for just $17. Scentbird has perfumes and colognes and a lot of unisex options. This month I received Dolce & Gabbana's, the one for men, with notes of hazy grapefruit, crisp ginger, and a rough pop of cardamom. This sweet and spicy cologne is a perfect scent to attract a lady who loves a hike during the day, as long as there aren't any scary horses around. And a little salsa dancing at night. I also received John Varvatos' Vintage. This sensuous and smooth scent makes me feel like a Hollywood leading man. David Schwimmer, for instance, with its assertive spice core and a warm, leathery background. Oh, I feel like I might meet my leading lady tonight. Jean Triplehorn, for instance. Use Watcher55 off to get 55% off your first month at Scentbird. It's just a little over $7 for your first month and available in the US and Canada. Oh God, I think my date's just arrived. Over here. Yes, it's me, Morris Ashley, your date. Oh, ma'am.
Ryan, I think you can agree our world is full of benders.
Yeah.
I don't mean that in sort of the UK slang way. You got fender benders, you got mind benders, and of course that final air bender.
What?
Aang. Don't worry about it. Now, if you ever spend any time in southeastern Kansas, and why wouldn't you, you'll find there's one group of benders known above all others. The Bloody Benders. John Bender, John Bender, Kate Bender, and Kate Bender.
They named their kids after themselves?
I don't know, Ryan. How do you think they're related?
Oh, this is one of those dorky families that does like John Bender the first, John Bender the second.
Yeah.
Why people love that. Do you do that?
No, I mean, no. There's only one Shane Madej in this world.
That's right.
There's only ever going to be one.
For now.
Now, the relationships between the Johns and the Kates, they're a little unclear. So we're not the only ones confused.
Wait, what?
Yeah, let me explain. Now, some sources claim the family was a Ma, a Paul, and their 2 children, who they apparently named after themselves.
Is it not enough that the kids already look like you? Do you really have to name them after you too?
It's a little much for me. Yeah, I would never do that.
You squirt a kid out, it's fun and looks like you, that's fine. You know, don't name it after you. It's just dorky. I don't like it.
Now, other reports say that John Jr. was the son of John Sr.
Has anyone explained to Ryan how babies are born?
Senior and the elder Kate, and he happened to marry another Kate. Okay. So this junior is just sort of, you know, it's decorum. You know, she's married to him. He married a woman with his mother's name. That also would be strange, right? Would you ever marry a Linda?
No, I would not marry a Linda.
You wouldn't marry a Linda. What about a Steve?
No, I probably wouldn't marry a Steve.
Interesting. Yet another source claims it's actually the young Kate who was the daughter of the elder members, and she married a man named John Gephardt, who then apparently took his wife's name. Maybe he just liked her name? Anyway, we don't know how these people are related.
Sometimes the husband takes the wife's name, wife takes the husband's name.
If it's a cooler name, then yeah, take it.
Exactly.
If you have like a fucking last name is like Dingleberry or something.
If your last name is Dingleberry, actually I'd keep that. Shane Madingleberry.
Shane Madingleberry. I like
I'll be your Dingleberry. What is known for certain is that the elder John and
Okay, it is I'll be your Huckleberry, right? Right? Dingleberry is what hangs off of a dog's ass, ain't it? Like the little balls of hair and shit. Ain't that
Kate spoke primarily German and were kind of unpleasant. In contrast, the younger Benders, however they were related, were quite popular. Johnny Jr. was handsome, strong, and more than capable of chatting up the locals.
That does not look like a strong man.
Look at that! Look at that! It looks so strong!
That guy looks like a worm.
This is southeastern
Look at
Kansas.
his jawline.
You're not getting
That's a
tans.
strong jawline,
He's
bro.
built like a pencil.
You don't know. Some people have very, you know, slim heads and then are real strong.
I mean, you're not one of those people.
I got real strong legs. I do.
Sure, yeah.
I really do.
No, we all think that, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Everybody thinks that, okay?
We all think it. Everyone nod your head, please.
Young Kate was no slouch herself, described as, quote, a beautiful, voluptuous girl with tigerish grays. Hey, don't ever call anybody voluptuous.
What if she wrote that?
Oh, well, then we celebrate her, despite...
Voluptuous, big titties. That's what voluptuous means, right? Look, okay. That is what voluptuous means, right? Some big condonkus. Like, she's the best. She's got mountains on her chest.
Some of the things she may do later in this story. You know, good for her. This is my voluptuous queen, okay? Yeah. In this story.
A tigerish grace, you might say.
Tigerish grace, yep. Which people also say about me and my legs.
Yeah, voluptuous.
Around 1870, John Sr. and John Jr. left their Kates behind in St. Louis and set off to find a new beginning, ending up just outside of Cherryvale, Kansas. Now, the two men built a one-room cabin and sent for the Kates, who, once arrived, helped their Johns convert the tiny one-room house into a two-room home. Specifically, they draped a canvas curtain through the middle, allowing them to live on one side while operating a small grocery and inn on the other side. With a garden and nearby orchard, the Bender cabin quickly became a convenient stop for travelers moving through the area along the Osage Trail. Now, the Benders developed a reputation around their small community for being a little off. For one, the group never ever talked about their past. According to neighbors, the Benders were prone to violence. Meanwhile, the young Kate advertised her skills as a trance medium with the power to heal.
Honestly, this sounds like most of my Irish family. They hardly ever talk about their past, and if you ask them about it, they'll actually punch you. I come from a pretty large Irish family, so that's what it sounds like to me. Sounds like a Tuesday.
Going by the moniker Professor Katie Bender. Very imaginative.
Yeah.
She reportedly would conduct bizarre seances within the cabin.
The Bender cabin sounds fun.
Seems like you can do a lot there. Grocery, an inn. You can spend the night, talk to some ghosts. Do you get first act horror movie vibes from them? Are you trusting them? If this is a place you pull up to because you've been traveling all day, you need to take a load off?
I'd like to interact with these people and see how creepy they were.
Keeping to yourself and chatting to ghosts was quirky, but not illegal. So, yeah.
That's us. That's us? That looks like the best ghost hunters in the world to me.
Anyway, not illegal, so the Benders were largely ignored, at least until people started disappearing. In the 1870s, traveling through southeastern Kansas was risky. The U.S. government, as it loves to do, decided the native people didn't have rights to their lands and opened the area up to white settlers. This meant an influx of people who didn't yet know the area, carrying large amounts of cash with which to buy land. Easy pickings for robbers. When out-of-towners swung through asking if anyone had seen their loved ones, the locals couldn't do anything but shrug. Eventually, however, the locals themselves began disappearing.
I just realized they're ghost hunters, technically. And to find ghosts, they've thought of a pretty easy way to do that, which is just making them from scratch.
Some of their own. You don't know what these people have done.
We should start doing that, making ghosts from scratch.
Just start, is that what you'll say you're doing?
I'm making some ghosts from scratch. And then you'd pause for a little and be like, so you're murdering people.
You want to kill people.
No, I just want to make some ghosts from scratch.
You want to kill, you want to watch the lights go out of their eyes.
I could look away.
Now, the first notable locals to go missing were George Lonker and his daughter, originally from nearby Independence, Kansas.
But they do give some good evidence. They just haven't gotten on that evidence where you're like. But they do get some pretty decent evidence, you know, to be going in there, having fun, just playing around. They do get some pretty good shit sometimes.
The Lonker pair were on their way to Iowa, where George's daughter would be moving in with family after her mother's death. The pair never made it to Iowa. Their abandoned wagon was found in Fort Scott, Kansas, more than 60 miles away. However, no one could say what happened to the Lonkers. Yikes! What happened, you know?
Yeah.
What do you think happened?
I probably got killed by
that's a good guess.
By the Benders family.
That's a good guess.
They were on a murder bender.
In March of 1873, another Independence resident, Dr. William York, was making a house call to a family in Fort Scott. His business concluded, Dr. York mounted his horse and set off back to Independence, but never made it home.
Uh-oh.
This was at least the 11th disappearance in the area since 1871. York's wife contacted her missing husband's brothers, one of whom was a state senator, and the residents of Independence decided to try a new strategy to address the crisis. Start looking for the missing people. Now, locals began searching farms in the area for clues. Tracing Dr. York's whereabouts after leaving Fort Scott led them to, you guessed it, the Benders' two-ish room cabin. On April 4th, 1873, investigators questioned the Benders, deducing that their home was the last place the doctor was seen alive. During questioning, the Benders acted odd and hostile. They admitted York had made a brief stop at their place, but insisted that he was quickly back on the road. Local lore says that Professor Katie Bender offered the investigators to use her clairvoyant gifts to see if the spirits had any idea where the doctor ended up for a small fee.
Hilarious.
That's smart.
I do have to say, I do think it's funny that she charged investigators for interrogating her, essentially.
I would have.
She figured out a way to monetize that, which is pretty ballsy and shows you this lady's twisted.
She is sick and twisted. Dr. Katie Bender, voluptuous, tigerish, but very sick and twisted. York's brothers declined the help, so the path grew cold. But you gotta hand it to her for trying.
I know, I respect it.
Now, a mere month later, in early May of 1873, the Bender Inn was found abandoned. Farm animals were either dead or emaciated, indicating the Benders had been gone for some time, perhaps having left the very night they were questioned in April. The only things that the Benders had left behind were a clock, a knife, a German Bible, and 3 hammers. This is exactly what I keep in my desk at Watcher.
I was about to say, what is this, fucking Clue? 3 hammers, how many family members are there? 4? Oh, one person watches, writes notes, or films.
They didn't have film at this point, but yeah.
Takes pictures?
Takes pics.
With, you know, puts the curtain over their head.
Yeah. It's like Ouija.
Taking a picture of them hammering someone away.
That's right. Now, at first, locals thought that the menace behind the other disappearances was likewise responsible for the missing Benders. A thorough search of the property, however, quickly put that theory to rest. So what do you think they found here at the old Bender farm?
Probably all of them, and much more.
Well, first, there was the smell. Searchers reported a disgusting scent that caused them to gag.
Guessing it's not a pot roast or something like that.
You ever smelled a dead body?
No.
Me neither.
Yes.
You asked me as if you had, though.
Trigger warning.
Yes,
I've read that it smells like citrusy, but horrible.
I've read that burning flesh smells like barbecue, so that kind of...
I guess that would make sense.
Yeah, it's meat.
Whenever I smelt the dead body, it had been in water for like 3 months on top of a hill. I didn't smell nothing citrusy. And the one time I was around someone who literally got burnt alive was at my papa's work. And I don't even know why I was there. But I think me and my grandmother both was there for some reason. And then this alarm started going off. As the alarm was going off, my papa came out and said, look, they're making everyone go. A small fire's broken out into like the White House. The White House at the time is just a little house inside this building where you went in there and you did stuff with windows because it was a window factory. And this is basically a water house where they cut the glass. It was just always full of water. But there was a fire around it somewhere in it. And we walked outside. They couldn't get to one feller, and you could just smell it. It did. It smelled like cooking meat at first, and then some of the most disgusting smell you ever smelled in your life. Like the most pungent burnt green beans, and then just sour. Like rancid, sour, fatty meat. Just, oh. So it was awful.
Soon, a trap door was discovered in the floor of the cabin that led to the cellar. There, on the floor of the cellar, were pools of dried blood. In the Bender orchard, investigators discovered depressions in the soil, which were, in fact, graves.
That's not a picture of the actual graves, is it? Because that's not a good way to hide bodies, I'll say that.
This is just a fun way to show.
I was about to say, I'm surprised there's not a fucking arm sticking out of one of those.
Yeah. Now, the first body discovered was that of Dr. William York.
Nice.
Got him! His head was bashed in and his throat was slit.
Holy shit!
Nearby, George Lonker's body was discovered, buried with his daughter. In total, somewhere between 8 and 11 corpses were found on the Bender property. The exact number is unknown, as the state of the bodies made them hard to distinguish.
Awesome.
Wow.
Did they leave the murder weapons behind?
3 hammers there.
And the knife.
Wow. I don't know that they used the German Bible.
I guess, yeah, the power of Christ compels you. I guess this is back in the day when it was easy to get away with murder, so you were like, fuck it, murder weapon? Throw that in the trash.
Auf Wiedersehen.
How about I leave it right by the body?
Yeah.
They're not gonna be able to trace it back to me, so fuck it.
They got out of there. Now, those who escaped the Bender Inn recounted that they were asked to sit in a particular seat in the cabin, one whose back was against the curtain that divided the space. As the younger Katie distracted the visitor, one of the Johns would give him the old Bender bonk, aka smashing their head in with a hammer from the other side of the curtain.
Damn.
The body would then be slid into the cellar via the trapdoor, where the victim's throat would be slit with a knife. The benders could then help themselves to the visitors' possessions, including any cash they might have had to buy land. Very efficient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is why you do the through the window service.
You can actually see there's someone right against the curtain there. and
Yeah, I
he's
can
got his
see them
little-
like waiting there. Ha ha! Waiting for the signal. As soon
Yeah.
as she says, look into my eyes.
Now, with nearly a dozen bodies to answer for and the prospective killers nowhere to be found, search parties immediately set out to try and track down the benders.
Oh, God.
The governor of Kansas issued a $2,000 award, equivalent to over $50,000 today, for anyone who could catch the murderers, and reporters from all over the country traveled to Cherryvale to cover the story. Train companies even ran specials for folks who wanted to see the Bender cabin for themselves.
Jesus Christ.
Sickos.
Only $50,000?
A quick 50K.
That's not going to incentivize me.
Yeah, I don't know. I would do it. I would track them down. What else? What are you doing? It's the 1870s or whatever. You're bored.
You got a point.
Murdered?
During the search, the Bender's wagon was discovered abandoned in Thayer, Kansas, 16 miles north of Cherryvale. A train agent reported selling 4 people that matched the Bender's description tickets to Humboldt, 20 miles north of Thayer. After that, the lead went cold. But what happened to the bloody Benders? As we know, a cold lead means it's time for some hot cork. Theory 1. The Benders adopted new identities. Yes, our first theory is that the Benders changed their identities and started over, a feat that would have been relatively easy in the 1870s.
Very easy.
There were no photos of the Benders, so unless someone had already met the family, identifying them would have basically been impossible.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, there was no shortage of claimed sightings of the family, as well as confessions from people claiming to be Benders themselves.
Wait, there are people claiming to be the Benders?
Yeah.
Why would they do that?
I don't know, man.
It's what you call high risk, low reward.
Yeah. What's the thought there, you know?
You want to do that for fame, I think. Maybe you want the notoriety.
Fame, notoriety, yeah. People were claiming to be Benders. I don't know why, but one particularly convoluted claim took place in 1889 in Niles, Michigan. Up over there. Do you like all the blood we put up on here, by the way?
Yeah, it's really classy.
Bloody, it's like goosebumps. Except people were actually murdered.
Yeah.
So, 1889, Niles, Michigan, a daughter and a mother, or depending on the source, stepmother, each accused the other of being a member of the Bender clan during a lawsuit over a stolen frying pan. I love this. This is great. This rules.
That's the most petty thing I've ever heard.
I guess it is fun in this era where people aren't quite sure where the Benders are to just know that if you have a disagreement with someone, you could be like, he's a Bender, that's John Bender Sr.
Yeah, it's like a witch trial kind of thing.
Now, at one point, these 2 women were brought from
messed up,
Michigan
though.
to Kansas so Cherryvale locals could try and ID them. Of the 16 witnesses brought in, 7 positively identified the women as Benders, 7 were sure that they were not the Benders, and 2 couldn't decide. Pretty inconclusive.
Yeah, pretty inconclusive stuff.
Do you think it was
Very
them?
inconclusive.
No. Yeah, me neither. Now, eventually, defense attorneys were able to show neither woman was a Bender when their attorneys provided proof that neither woman was anywhere near Kansas during the Bender murder. Bender.
It must have been so fucking hard to just catch people back in the day.
It was, because it was very easy to just change your whole look.
Change your name. You can just change your haircut.
With that in mind, I think it's time for a bit of a change, a personal change for me.
Okay.
So I'm gonna change my identity so that nobody can catch me for the crimes that I've committed. Close your eyes, Ryan.
No, don't worry. I will. Just so I don't have to look at this.
Hello.
Oh my God.
Who am I? You simply don't know. I'm a stranger, a
I have
relative
no
stranger
idea.
to you.
No, you're a completely different person. Well, what's your name?
Reinhold
Your name's Ryhold?
Schmack.
Okay. Mr. Schmack.
On to Theory 2. The Benders
Yep.
encountered a network of thieves. That sounds fun.
Not really. No, I would never want
Thieves
to.
seem fun.
Until they kill you.
Yes, I mean, obviously nobody wants that, but thieves, you know, they're in it to steal. That's fun. Honor among thieves. Oh, wait, I guess there isn't any. That's the whole point of that saying.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I was going to say they're an honorable bunch, but there is none. Okay, then maybe thieves are not good. Another theory states that perhaps the Benders were part of a network of thieves who took them in after they fled. This is supported largely by the fact that no one ever saw any of the victims' belongings for sale in any nearby towns, nor did the Benders ever try to offload any suddenly orphaned horses. To some, this means the Benders must have had help fencing the goods they took from their victims.
I could see the logic behind that.
Pilfered goods out in the community.
That's great to watch.
That's Dr. York's thumb.
Is it?
$40?
That's a steal.
Now, author Susan Jonasis suspects.
Or maybe they hid everything other places and came back for it later. Because who's to say why they moved away from the first place to begin with? You know what I mean? Why did they move here to begin with and build this 1-bedroom that you turn into a 2-bedroom building? They're just some shady people, bro.
2 associates could have been law-breaking brothers, Frank and Bill McPherson. These men would have helped the Benders offload their stolen goods, and when the locals began sniffing around their cabin, helped them escape town. Jonasis suspects that since the family was so good at living on the fringes of society, they could have lived for a while just out of the reach of the manhunts in Texas and the Chickasaw Nation.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it being possible that some other thieves helped them. I don't know why they would want to take on the risk of 4 people that are in the midst of a manhunt.
Money, baby. They probably had a bunch of loot, you know? Also, they looted the doctor. He's probably got money.
I don't know. I'm not really seeing it, but yeah.
Okay. Theory 3. The Benders are actually buried in Colorado. Now, of course, there's also the possibility that the Benders fled and hung up their murder and hammers for good. In Linwood Cemetery in Glenwood Springs, Colorado, tourists come from far and wide to see the gravestone of Mr. Doc Holliday. Go on, get excited, pop your little boner for that
that's
movie
really
you love.
good.
What is it?
That's
you
it.
need your little cup. What does he drink? He gets tuberculosis.
He drinks his little cup.
Yep.
It's a good performance.
Now, also in
be
that
your
graveyard
Huckleberry.
behind an iron fence are the marked graves of John Joseph and Katie Bender. Author Phyllis de la Garza wrote a blog post for True West magazine showcasing her research on the couple. Both were originally born in Germany, and they got married in a German community in Missouri in 1868.
German Bible.
German Bible. You're doing it, Brian. You're solving the case. A mystery point for you.
Thank you.
Their whereabouts between 1870 and 1878, when records indicate they arrived in Colorado, are lost to time. In 1886, the 2 settled in Glenwood Springs, where they opened a tavern. John Joseph died 2 years later, but Katie thrived in the community for another almost 30 years. Could they have been the elder Benders separated from their murderous children? We've got a German John and Kate. We don't have their children. They sort of match the vibes. They're gone for the period of time when the murderers happened. Then they end up in Colorado. They open a tavern. They're already, you know, in the hospitality business, so sort of scans.
My thought is murderers, they have a compulsion.
It's weird. It's weird for them to just hang it up.
It's not like they're going to be like, all
But what
right,
if it
we
was
got our
just
fill,
the kids?
time to stop. That kind of thought doesn't enter the mind of someone who kills someone with a hammer from behind a curtain and
But
then
what if it was the
guts
kids?
them like a fish.
Unless their big motivation here was just money. And they were like, this seems like a good way to make money. Oh, we're killing people, sure. Nobody seems to be batting an eye. People are coming to town, people are going, I don't know. Then suddenly, heat turns up a bit. You're like, uh-oh, maybe this is not the best way to make a buck. Let's get out of here. Whew, that was a close call. But you know what? We did run a pretty nice inn at our place. Why don't we open a tavern knowing what we know about running a business here in Colorado?
No murderer is like, let me turn this around and stop murdering and now I'm going to be a bank teller. Like, that doesn't happen.
Theory
It could.
4. The Benders
It could
were
happen.
killed, by an angry mob.
Probably.
We put glitter on this one for an angry mob.
Is there a reason why they all look like Robin Hood characters?
Well, that's an angry mob.
Or extras from Shrek?
It's sort of an old-timey angry mob. We like to have fun here.
I mean, I'd like for this theory to be true just because it'd be nice to have, you know, some justice.
Now, some believe that the Benders didn't make it far enough to start a new life, but were instead captured and lynched by an angry mob soon after they fled. Now, the story goes that a posse set off in search for the Benders, not north, where their purchased train tickets were headed, but south into native territory. Their posse returned a few days later, empty-handed, having given up the chase. Curiously, it seems none of the posse members were interested in hearing speculations about the fates of the Benders from then on. On his deathbed, one member confessed that they had caught the Benders and executed them, splitting up their possessions amongst the posse. Now, none other than Laura Ingalls Wilder, the racist little white lady who wrote The Little House on the Prairie, has suggested that a mob might have captured the Benders.
The Little House on the Prairie was a couple houses down from the Bender murder cabin, essentially, then? You could surmise that perhaps
isn't that
she was
crazy?
inspired by her setting, made Little House on the Prairie, and then 2 houses down.
Wow.
One of the most notorious
Pretty fucked
family
up.
of murderers.
It'd be funny if that popped up in the book. Wilder's family happened to be living near
That's
the Bender
crazy.
cabin at the time, and when the graves were discovered, someone came to their home and called out Wilder's father, who left with a rifle and didn't return until morning. In the years that followed, when asked about the Benders, Wilder's father would apparently state in an ominous tone that the Benders would never be found.
Well, he could have meant, like, no one's gonna find them.
Yeah, but that's some Tony Soprano shit.
Look, I'd love for this theory to be true, because I hope they died.
Well, they definitely died, don't worry. 1870.
Well, I know they died, but
Yeah.
I mean, like, not of their own choice. Like, I
Yeah.
want them to die. Like, and not of nature either. I want them to have gotten murdered.
What if by nature, but ripped apart by a bear?
Now that's even better.
Yeah, that's nature, that's God.
Yeah.
Another murder posse theory states that some men, led by Dr. York's brother, returned to the Bender cabin the morning after they were questioned and came
Fucking
upon the
shame.
family preparing to flee. The family was killed and left in unmarked graves on the farm.
Now that's the best version of that theory.
I think so. The posse then dumped the wagon where it was later found in Thayer and had people impersonating German accents buy train tickets. That's funny.
That's good. I like
One
it.
train ticket, please.
Yeah, it'd be pretty easy to do.
I can do that. I'm German, by the way. Now, one problem with this theory is that unlike lots of murders, anyone who had killed the Benders would probably have been heralded as a hero. In 1908, a Chicago man gave a deathbed confession saying he was part of the posse with William York's brother. When York's brother, who was still alive in Denver at the time, was asked about the dying man's words, York stated, quote, "That is not true. Had I taken part in the killing of the Benders, I would have been glad to have added this act to another one of the good deeds of my life."
That's a fucking baller ass quote.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, if you killed the Benders, you'd be like, yeah, I fucking killed them.
Yeah.
I killed their asses.
Right, ain't
It's
like you're
pretty
gonna
funny,
get in
though,
trouble
that
for it,
he's
the
on
murderers.
his deathbed, he's like, yeah, and also, I did kill the Benders, so know that. Oh. And he thought he had one little moment of glory. Then they go ask the guy, and he's like, nah, that's not true.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a liar. He died a coward and a liar.
Jesus Christ. I don't know about him. A liar, perhaps. Coward, I don't know.
I mean, it sounds like he was a liar.
Well, a liar, yes. Coward, I don't know.
Wow,
Is it not
Shane.
cowardly to
Shane.
lie?
That's true. I'll write that down.
Write that down. Okay, on to theory 5. And this is my last theory of the season.
Oh, yeah. Last theory of the season in general.
In general, and also it's my favorite theory of the entire season.
Okay.
Okay? The Benders escaped.
Is this the last episode of Mystery Files? If this is the last episode of Mystery Files and there's none up next week and we haven't moved on to a new season of anything, we'll go back to the Are You Scared? Until something else comes out. Sound good? Sound good.
Via a hot air balloon.
What the fuck? It's hilarious.
Whee! This comes from the August 17th, 1877 edition of The Headlight, a newspaper in Thayer, Kansas, which itself claimed the story was from the Topeka Commonwealth. Buckle up, Ryan, because I think you're going to like this one. According to this article, a Mexican ship captain was out sailing his ship when suddenly, from out of the sky, 4 bodies splatted onto the deck of his ship.
That's incredible.
3 of them died upon impact. Obviously, I guess
Yeah,
that makes sense.
that makes sense, yeah.
But the merely mortally wounded 4th claimed to be the young John Bender. This is far-fetched to begin with, but maybe
raining.
even more so for someone to have fallen out of the sky and with their dying words be like, by the way, I'm that murderer.
Have you seen my legs? Pa?
All of my bones are broken, but I want you to know that I have murdered.
Also, that person would be saying that in a German accent, too.
FYI, I am a murderer.
So according to the newspaper, as he lay dying, this fallen angel told the captain that 6 weeks earlier, his sister Kate had discovered a boiling spring giving off an odd-smelling gas near where they had settled. Contradicting his own timeline, John then said, and again, he's allegedly saying this as he's laying
I was just about to say, yeah, a lot to say.
Contradicting his own timeline, John then said it took the family 3 months to procure the materials for and then construct a giant balloon. The family got in the balloon and attempted to fly south to Mexico, which is kind of strange to have a destination since balloons are sort of completely at the mercy of the wind. During their flight, the family hit a storm, which catapulted them onto the deck of the ship. Apparently, the elder Kate Bender tried to grab hold of the ship's mast as she fell, while the elder John made a, quote, beautiful corpse. The article went on to state that the balloon, which John had claimed was losing gas through a hole they had deliberately put in it, was still floating around Mexico and could be seen on clear days. As the newspaper put it, quote, we are glad the mystery has cleared up.
Yeah, it's done. Case closed.
No.
On-air balloon.
Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, obviously.
Wouldn't these folks go right through the deck of the ship if they fell from that high?
I don't think so. I guess it depends how high they fall and the terminal velocity, you know?
I'd like to wager that they would fall through the deck of that ship.
Now, Ryan, before I reveal whether we know what eventually came of the Bloody Benders, where do you think they ended up?
Maybe they were killed by that mob? That's what I hope. Buried in Colorado. Well, they ended up dead for sure because of the time.
Well, there's also the possibility that, you know, nefarious people are going to do nefarious things. Maybe if they weren't necessarily killed by a posse, they crossed paths with someone they shouldn't have crossed paths with elsewhere and were just killed by someone who didn't even know they were killing a notorious
that's probably what happened.
Murderous family.
You can't do it forever.
Can't do it forever.
The aftermath.
Well, the fate of the Benders was never solved. Yes, they could have just died on the frontier someplace, or, you know, successfully escaped and kept up their killing sprees. Maybe someone you know with the last name Bender is actually one of their murderous descendants. Who knows? No one. That's who. So for now, I guess this will just remain, once and for all, a mystery. All right, well, what a fun season it's been, Ryan. It's been great hanging out with you here in the basement. I'm gonna go start my new life as Reinhold Schmack. Schmack. That was Schmack.
Yeah, forgot your last name already. Huh?
Reinhold Schmack is gonna go hit the town and say hello to some folks, and that's that.
That sounds great.
It's been nice knowing you as Shane Madej, but I hereby sign off now and forever.
All right.
Something huge is coming.
Huge.
Yes, it's gonna change your life, and it's gonna rock your world.
And I know what rocks.
Yes, Watcher is ready to shake things up. Stay tuned, my friends.
Let's play him out, Professor Morris.
Yes, go, take it away, Fabian. Oh! That's good. Oh! Yes! Thanks, Scentbird, for the sponsorship. Make sure to use my coupon code WATCHER55OFF for 55% off your first month. Till next time. Yeah, I'm over here. Can I get a new table?
Did you have 15 margaritas this weekend?
Maybe. I did not. No, I had 16.
What are these two crazy fools about to do, bro? I get so excited. I do. I really fucking do. All right. I really enjoyed today's video. If y'all enjoyed today's video as much as I did, please go down there, leave a thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow. While you're down there going over, slap that subscribe button. Become part of the Build for 1,000 Nation. We can do some crazy shit here. And if you want to know when that crazy shit happens, ding that bell. It might work for you. It might not. It probably won't. But if it do, jump in on one of my premieres, go over in the live chat and be like, hey, Bill, You dinged me. It's the biggest ding I've had all day, and I thank you for it. Leave a like and dip. That's all you got to do. As always, be good to one another. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. And to all those out there who have been telling me I have been dinging you, thank you. Thank you so much.